According to the legend, in early 1863, a shipment of 26 gold bars, property of the U.S. government, was loaded onto a Union Army caravan in Wheeling, West Virginia. The caravan was under orders to take the gold to the United States Mint in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, where it would be used to pay for the war effort.
Gold shipments were incredibly important for the Union and its success under Lincoln. He was reliant on that gold to pay soldiers and to pay off some debts to foreign lenders. And so these operations of transferring gold were secret, and they were protected by troops to watch it and guard it. That was the only way it could be shipped.
11 Union soldiers and 3 wagons began the 350-mile journey to Philadelphia, but just 60 miles into their trek, an unexpected turn of events forced the caravan to change their plans.
The wagons were dead-headed for Philadelphia, but then Southern soldiers were getting close to Pennsylvania, and they were afraid it would get robbed, so that's when they detoured. So they went up the Allegheny River, and when they got to Dent's Run, the story says one of the wagons broke down up on the mountainside.
Unable to continue as planned, 3 of the Union soldiers escorting the caravan reportedly left to get help. But when they returned days later, they found empty wagons. The other soldiers and the gold had vanished without a trace.
Now, according to the gold story, the Union soldiers robbed the gold. They took part of the gold that they could carry, and they buried the rest someplace around Dent's Run. That's what brings the enthusiasm to the story.
Could there be stolen Civil War gold buried somewhere in the Allegheny Mountains? It's certainly an intriguing thought, but there's just one problem. No official government records of the lost gold have ever been found.
People would assume that it would be in the record of the U.S. government and the National Archives, but it's not. And the reason it's not is because it would have been a huge embarrassment to the Union, to Lincoln, and it might have caused an economic panic to have this amount of gold go missing.
It wasn't until 1974 that an article in Treasure magazine brought the mystery of the Dent's Run treasure into the public spotlight. The story reported that in 1865, government detectives recovered 2.5 bars of gold buried under a pine stump near where the empty wagons were found. In the years since the article was published, a steady stream of treasure hunters have done their own prospecting in the hopes of finding gold at Dent's Run.
We're talking about 26 bars of gold. We've had several people come to us, one claiming that they found 1 bar of gold, another claiming that they found 1.5 bars of gold, and you don't know if any of them's true. They're up there looking for it, but I don't think they've found it.
Are there more gold bars still buried in the hills of northwestern Pennsylvania? Gold that has been hidden for over 150 years, as treasure hunters believe? Well, while exploring a dry riverbed in 2005, deep in the backwoods of Dent's Run, treasure hunters Dennis Parada and his son Cam discovered some intriguing artifacts and a possible hideout that may hold the answer.
Right at this location here, we discovered a bonfire pit. And we dug down about 6 inches. We found a lot of bottles, broken glass, an animal trap, and bullets all over the place up there. And all the bullets, the glassware, everything here was dated around the Civil War period. And then I looked off to the left and there was a hole in the mountain. As soon as I came down here and I saw the cave, I was just drawn right in. I had to go in immediately to see what was in there.
After descending into the cave to search for more Civil War artifacts, Dennis and his son found signs that they weren't the first people to enter the secluded hollow.
My son's looking at it, and he says, "Dad, there's a hole carved into the ceiling for a torch up towards the back of the cave." He put a flashlight in there, and 32 feet back from the entrance There was a vertical shaft.
Dennis and his son were unable to fully explore the narrow cave. But they spent years drilling exploratory holes into the ground above it to search for traces of gold. And then, in 2014, their efforts finally paid off.
We drill down 8 feet, hook up the equipment, gold. Off the scale, our machine's going gold.
It's saying large gold item, 10 inches.
So I says 100% the treasure was here, the Civil War treasure. And I'm like screaming, we found it, we found it.
Dennis Parada had been working with the state, getting permission from government to doing it the right way, being correctly permitted, but they would not allow him to dig it up. And so I called Denny and I suggested to him that we work together. I can help him with it. I said the only way you're likely to see it come out of the ground is to bring the FBI, the feds, in to retrieve it.
What happened next is subject to some debate, but according to Dennis Parada, the FBI took control of the dig site in late January of 2018. They conducted a series of scans of the area using a device known as a gravimeter.
A gravimeter measures density, and the density of gold is 19.5, and the density of sandstone, which it was hidden in a cave underground, is 2.5. The differential would show up hugely in a heat map of that site. They did those measurements over a full day, and they came back with the results that showed a very high reading of gold. That's when things got crazy. The FBI kicked us off and they said, go home. And then they returned at 8 p.m. that night and dug till the next morning.
When the FBI dug, I come up here and I could see what was going on. There was 20-some to 30-some agents up here at all times, standing around. The backhoe was digging constantly. When the FBI left, I came back up to the site the next day to retrieve my hidden cameras, and then I ran some tests on the site area. And the readings we had before of metal underneath, gold and silver, were all gone. Everything was gone.